News time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline. Ejimako, IPOB's lawyer, Kanu, ready for negotiations. The Sun News actually interviewed the legal representative and he was asked, "You made a statement sometimes ago that Nnamdi Kanu would not be tried in any Nigerian court. What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Yes, I did. But let me put it another way. Even though Kanu was undoubtedly amenable to prosecution or trial based on the charges pending against him from 2015, his subsequent extraordinary rendition from Kenya has changed all that. That's why I commenced the constitutional suit that is now pending before the High Court of Abia State. But because this question is now sub judice, I cannot comment on its merits, but I can give you an excerpt of the case in chief that I adduced in the originating processes I filed in court. My case in chief is this: that it is fundamentally wrong for the Nigerian state to levy a lethal military attack on Nnamdi Kanu at his home in Abia State while he was free on bond, and having failed to kill him, to then pursue him out to Kenya and abduct him without due process of law. The abduction, the torture that followed the unlawful imprisonment in Kenya, plus his consequent expulsion from Kenya to Nigeria, are manifestly unconstitutional and amounts to infringement of his fundamental rights. There is an unbroken chain of notorious violations that started in Afarawuku, Abia State in late 2017 and culminated in Kenya in June 2021. It is trite that when a state forcibly takes a fugitive suspect from a country to its territory, that is, from a foreign country to its territory, without giving the person the benefit of the extradition process, it amounts to an act of extraordinary rendition that, without more, triggers insurmountable legal barriers to prosecution. Under applicable laws, a renditioned fugitive is entitled to a body of remedies known as collectively reparations, which includes restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of reputation. One such law provides that restitution should restore the victim to the original situation before the gross violation of international human rights law. Restitution includes restoration of liberty and return to one's place of residence. In many nations, extraordinary rendition has been held by the courts to be a legal barrier to prosecution. I will give one example with the United Kingdom, where the House of Lords, in such a case that where a defendant in a criminal matter had been brought back to the United Kingdom in disregard of available extradition process and in breach of international law and laws of the state where the defendant had been found, the court in the United Kingdom should take cognizance of those circumstances and refuse to try the defendant. I know that Kanu's case is unique, novel, and presents matter of first impression. Yet, it presents a golden opportunity for Nigerian courts to determine whether it is lawful for the Nigerian state to make an extrajudicial attempt on his life in 2017 and, having failed, to then pursue him to Kenya and then abduct him to Nigeria without due process of law, all because he is engaged in self-determination, which is a protected political opinion, but one which the government of the day is seeking to suppress by means of punishment or some sort. If what they did to Kanu is legal, why did they resort to the extradition processes of Benin Republic, and why is America equally applying to extradite Abba Kyari instead of simply levying extraordinary rendition on him? That is the crux of the matter. And he was asked again that, do you see his non-production in court by the DSS in recent legal appearances as a vindication of your statement or prophecy, as it were? He replied, "Let me put it this way. Democratic Nigeria has never had a successful treason trial. Since 1960, democratic Nigeria has had many treason trials without any, except for that of Obafemi Awolowo, netting a conviction of or even coming close. No other person has ever been convicted of treason or its guardian varieties like treasonable felony or sedition throughout all the democratic dispensations in Nigeria. Even when that of Awolowo resulted in conviction, it immediately brought many issues that still dog Nigeria to this day. Plus, Awo's conviction most probably would not have happened had he not overconfidently opted for summary trial when he could have tarried a while. What is more, his trial was later found to have been tainted with profound judicial bias, and in quick time his conviction and sentence were commuted. Most remarkably, his conviction convulsed Nigeria to no end, especially Western Nigeria, and it ultimately contributed to the 1966 coups that directly led to the Civil War and its horrendous aftermath. The lessons from this are not hard to see, and they are: first, treason is a regime-specific political offense. So, unless the trial is dubiously concluded during the life of the extant regime, it sunsets with the coming of a new regime. Second, treason trial, if pushed too aggressively, can bring more problems than it initially set out to contain. In some climes, it led to overthrow of the very government in power, such as in the case of Jerry Rawlings, who went from being in jail for treason to overthrowing the government that jailed him. So, Nigeria needs to tread with caution, and a keen reference to history as it ramps up on this overly aggressive treason trial of Nnamdi Kanu. When an alpha patriot like Kanu gets so upset with the system that he begins to seek solutions in separation or self-determination, you talk to him, you don't subject him to trials and tribulations. Simple. And these were the words of the lawyer, and he was asked the very last time, after he had said that, the question was that at a particular point in time, he said they cannot try Kanu in court, a court in Nigeria, and why was it so? And he was just trying to explain that was true because he was actually extradited from Kenya unlawfully, because they were not supposed to bring him from Kenya without following due process, and for that reason, any other prosecution that they had against him, because he had jumped bail, and not that he jumped bail, they actually went to his house to invade his house and attempted to kill him. That was extrajudicial. And with respect to this, he had to flee out of the country, and for them to bring him back to Nigeria, it has to follow due process. And for the fact that he didn't do that, then on a normal time, like on a normal basis, they were not supposed to charge him, and for some reasons that is sub judice, as I said, he had to file a case in the court in Abuja, which is still pending. And they were like, he was also asked if he sees his legal appearances as something that will vindicate him